The New World was not built in a day. It was made through war, rebellion, and revolution. This is the story of the birth of a new nation.
Against all odds, they fought for liberty, but the battle for freedom was only beginning. A document signed and written in ink, but backed by blood. A nation forged in fire. Everyone has a beginning, but none quite like this.
The title of our Netflix series is Forging a Nation, and the description is, with each battle, debate, and act of defiance, the foundation of a new nation is laid, and the genre is a dramatic reenactment.
The first actor in our series will be Mark Hamill. Hamill will be playing John Adams, who is a very blunt and impatient individual, which are two traits very similar to those portrayed by Luke Skywalker in the new Star Wars trilogy. Our second actor will be Robert Downey Jr. He will be playing John Hancock, as his biggest role was Iron Man, and Iron Man and John Hancock share very similar traits, as they're both rich and arrogant at times, but know how to be honest and knowledgeable at other times. Another role will be played by Jason Isaacs, who will be portraying James Madison. Isaacs has played roles previously that are very similar to James Madison. He has been very quiet, but also been very serious and cold at times. George Washington will be played by Christian Bale. Bale has experience playing serious roles and can play a serious leadership role really well. Finally, Paul Giamatti will be playing Benjamin Franklin. Paul has experience playing colonial figures, previously playing John Adams. He would do a great job at portraying Franklin's ambition and motivation to improve.
Now I will go over each of our 10 episodes. Episode 1, French and Indian War. In the French and Indian War, the British and French were fighting over North American territories. The war was a result of undefined borders and a need to expand into new regions. The war put France and their native allies against the British colonists and the Iroquois Confederacy. The British won the war, but their many victories led to a buildup of debt, causing an uproar in the colonies. Episode 2, Tax Tensions. The French and Indian War was costly, leaving the winning British in major debt. This caused them to impose different tax acts, including the Stamp Act, Sugar Act, Townshend Act, Currency Act, and the Intolerable Acts. These acts created major tension in the colonies. Colonists started riots and denied the ability of Parliament because of the lack of representation. Some felt tensions needed to be eased and peace should be made, but eventually they declared independence. Episode 3, The Start of a New Country. The Declaration of Independence is the most important document in U.S. history. It was approved by Continental Congress on July 3, 1776, announcing the separation of the 12 colonies from Great Britain. The document was signed by many important figures, including the Adams brothers and John Hancock. Episode 4, Against All Odds. The American Revolution, which took place between 1775 and 1783, was a fight between the 13 colonies and Great Britain. It began due to growing colonial anger over British taxes and lack of representation. After battles at Lexington and Concord, the conflict escalated into a full war. In 1778, France joined as an important ally, supplying troops, weapons, and naval support. The war ended with the British surrender at Yorktown in 1781, and the Treaty of Paris in 1783 officially granted the colonies independence. Episode 5: The Farmers' Rebellion. The Articles of Confederation, approved in 1781, created the first government of the United States. It gave most power to the states, leaving the central government weak, especially when it came to taxes and trade. This caused economic problems, which led to Shays' Rebellion in 1784. The rebellion, led by farmer Daniel Shays in Massachusetts, was fueled by heavy taxes and debt collection practices that affected war veterans and farmers. Episode 6: Compromise and Constitution. The Constitutional Convention of 1787 met to fix the weak government created by the Articles of Confederation. The delegates debated over important issues like how states should be represented and how much power the national government should have. The Great Compromise solved these debates by creating a Congress with two parts, one based on state population and the other giving each state equal votes. After the Constitution was written, Federalists supported it for a stronger central government, while Anti Federalists worried it would take away individual and state rights. Eventually, the Constitution was ratified. Episode 7: Guardians of Liberty. The leaders of America created the United States Constitution, which laid out a new system of government. Some people were worried that this new government gave too much power to the federal level, and they demanded protections for individual rights. In response, in 1791, the Bill of Rights was added, guaranteeing freedoms like speech, religion, and the right to a fair trial. Episode 8: Mr. President. George Washington, unanimously elected as the first president of the United States in 1789, established many of the precedents that would shape the presidency. As tensions grew between the Federalists and Democratic Republicans, Washington faced increasing political divisions. In 1794, he led militia forces to suppress the Whiskey Rebellion, demonstrating the new government's strength. Washington stepped down after a second term, setting a new model for a peaceful power transfer. Episode 9: Whiskey Rebels. The Secretary of the Treasury, Alexander Hamilton, knew he had to find a source of income for the government. He proposed a tax on whiskey, and the Senate approved it. Farmers who profited from whiskey hated the idea, and rebellion was born. A group of rebels attacked and destroyed a tax inspector's home. As the rebellion continued to grow, the government knew they had to do something. The 13,000 militia troops led by Alexander Hamilton and Henry Lee arrived in Western Virginia, but they discovered that the rebellion had collapsed and the rebels had fled. Episode 10: Holding On to Success. In 1798, tensions were high between the United States and France, and many feared the country was on the verge of war. In response, Congress passed the Alien and Sedition Acts. These laws made it harder for immigrants to become citizens and allowed for the government to arrest or deport foreigners seen as a threat. The Sedition Act also made it illegal to criticize the government, sparking outrage among many who saw it as a violation of free speech. And here is our works cited. Thanks for your time.